Do you remember that feeling? Not the jarring blare of an alarm, nor the sudden buzz of a phone. No, this was different. It began subtly, a low hum in the distance, the whisper of a bus lumbering down the street outside your window, a gentle prelude to something more. Then, closer, the soft, metallic jingle of coins asterisk in your dad's pocket as he moved through the hall, a sound promising small treasures. Perhaps the faint, comforting smell of burnt toast or freshly brewed tea drifting from the kitchen, a domestic anchor before the adventure. You tie your laces, anticipation tightening your chest. The front door opens, and it hits you. The cool, damp scent of wet asphalt from the morning dew, mingling with the irresistible aroma of fresh pastries from the bakery just down the road. That clinking change in your hand. Ahead, an entire day. An entire world. Our high street. Are you ready? You step through those distinctive red doors, the ones with the bold, familiar letters spelling Woolworths, and the high street's gentle hum blossoms into a vibrant tapestry of sounds and sensations. Remember that unique symphony, a constant, cheerful chatter of voices asterisk, the rhythmic clatter of coins from bustling tills, each ring a tiny note in the day's melody. And the smell, oh, that unforgettable, glorious aroma. It was a sweet, encompassing cloud, the tangy, sugary fragrance of pick in mix greeting you first, playfully mingling with the fresh scent of new plastic from the toy aisles and the comforting, slightly dusty warmth of paperbacks. It was a scent that spoke of endless possibilities, a whole world contained within those lively walls. Your eyes, often wide with childhood wonder, would naturally gravitate towards the legendary pick in mix stand. A dazzling spectrum of gummy bears, fizzy cola bottles, chocolate jazzies, and licorice all sorts, all glistening under the lights, patiently waiting to be scooped into a flimsy paper bag. Do you recall the careful deliberation? The earnest decision of selecting just the right assortment, trying to make your precious pocket money stretch, the small thrill as you watched the scoop dive into mountains of sugary delight. That gentle rustle of the paper bag as you clutched your sugary prize. It wasn't merely sweets, it was a pure moment of joy, a tangible piece of childhood freedom. If you grew up in those years, this isn't just a story, it's a memory, rich and truly vivid. Woolworths, though, was so much more than just a sweet shop. It was a universe condensed, a place where generations often found themselves crossing paths. For you, as a child, it might have been the toy aisle, a small wonderland of action figures, craft kits, or those charming plastic army men. The stationery section, where a brand new pencil case or a colorful eraser felt like a significant upgrade for the school term. You might have seen your mum intently browsing patterns in the haberdashery, or your dad thoughtfully examining a new gadget in the electronics section, perhaps a transistor radio promising faraway voices and unknown melodies. As you moved into your teenage years, Woolies took on new dimensions. It often became the initial place where you'd first encounter vinyl. Remember the feeling of slowly flicking through those record racks, the slightly rough texture of the album sleeves beneath your fingertips, searching for that one single, that one album, that would somehow define your week, or even your very sense of self. The sheer excitement of finally finding it, clutching it close, knowing you were bringing home not just a record, but a new soundtrack to your burgeoning life. The satisfying crackle of the plastic as you unwrapped it, the careful, almost reverent placement on the turntable, these weren't merely actions, they were cherished rituals. Woolworths also served as a valuable social hub. It was a convenient spot to meet friends, a well-known landmark on the high street, a place to seek temporary refuge from a sudden shower, or simply to gather and share your youthful dreams. It was often where parents felt comfortable leaving their slightly older children, knowing they would be entertained and relatively safe while other errands were run. It was a community space in the guise of a department store, a lively backdrop for countless small, everyday moments of British life. It offered a remarkably diverse range of goods, from inexpensive fishing gear and knitting wool to the latest pop hits and essential household items. It was a place of diverse offerings, possessing a particular warmth and character that was truly its own. The memories of its bustling aisles, its unique blend of practicalities and pleasures, linger on. It was a true cornerstone of the high street, a place woven into the fabric of daily life for so many. A space where small desires were met, and larger dreams sometimes began, perhaps with a first record or a newly chosen toy. As you carry that phantom scent of pick in mix, a gentle smile playing on your lips, the high street quietly continues its journey, ready now to unveil the next layer of its past. Leaving the sweet, bustling embrace of Woolworths, your journey down the high street invariably led you to the next temple of teenage obsession, the music shop. Virgin Megastore, Our Price, or perhaps even a smaller, independent record haven, each was a gateway to another world. Remember standing before those vibrant shop windows, a kaleidoscope of album art and band posters reflecting the hurried street life behind you. Those images promised rebellion, romance, and revelation, a soundtrack to the burgeoning identity you were trying to forge. As you pushed open the door, it wasn't just air that greeted you, it was a physical presence. The low, resonant thump of a bass line asterisk, muffled yet insistent, pulsating from within. A heady, intoxicating aroma of new vinyl mixed with the slightly musty scent of old paper from countless music magazines, perhaps even a hint of patchouli from the more adventurous staff members. This wasn't just a shop, it was an atmosphere, a living, breathing entity that enveloped you. For hours, you could lose yourself in those hallowed aisles. Your fingers would glide over the spines of cassette tapes, then linger on the larger, more substantial squares of vinyl records. Remember the tactile sensation of pulling out a sleeve, examining the artwork, reading the track list, imagining the sounds held within. That moment of discovery, the thrill of finding a band you'd only heard whispered about, or stumbling upon an album that spoke directly to your soul. If you grew up in those years, this isn't just about music, it's about finding your tribe, your voice. Then came the ritual of the listening post. Remember those clunky, sometimes slightly sticky headphones hanging patiently by the racks? The nervous excitement as you slipped them on, the faint smell of other people's hair oil and anticipation, and then, that first rush of sound. A guitar riff that sent shivers down your spine, a vocal harmony that made your heart ache, a drum beat that set your feet tapping. It was a private communion, just you and the music, utterly absorbed, oblivious to the world outside. The subtle click of a cassette player engaging, or the delicate scrape of a needle dropping onto a fresh vinyl, were sounds of pure potential. These weren't just transactional spaces. They were cultural melting pots, places where friendships were forged over shared tastes, where passionate debates erupted about the merits of one band over another. You'd gather with your mates, comparing notes, making recommendations, solidifying your own burgeoning identity through the music you embraced. Saving up your pocket money for weeks, just for that one coveted album, felt like a quest. The moment of purchase, the proud walk out of the shop, the anticipation of peeling off the cellophane and playing it for the very first time, these were rites of passage. The artwork on the covers was a portal in itself. They weren't just designs, they were statements, puzzles, provocations. Each image a story, an extension of the sound within. You'd pore over them for hours, reading the liner notes, studying the photographs, imagining the lives of the artists who created this magic. It was an immersive experience that digital files can never quite replicate. There was a weight, a physicality to the music that made it feel more real, more precious. Today, when you pass by a spot where a Virgin Megastore once pulsed with energy, or where Our Price offered a treasure trove of sound, you might find a brightly lit electronics shop, a generic clothing retailer, or simply a vacant space. The vibrant conversations, the shared excitement, the collective anticipation, these elements have largely moved online, becoming individual, isolated experiences. We've gained efficiency, perhaps, but at what cost to the shared journey of musical discovery? We've traded the tangible thrill for instant access. It was a place where you didn't just buy music, you found yourself. A place where you discovered your beat, your rhythm, your unique place in the world. And as the echoes of those forgotten melodies gently fade, the high street continues its silent tour, leading us to the next chapter of our collective past, a place where identity was not just heard, but also seen. From the rhythmic pulse of the music store, your journey on the high street would invariably lead you towards the expansive windows of C&A or British home stores, places that clothe not just your body, but also the very essence of your family life. Remember the distinct, almost clinical brightness inside, a stark contrast to the moodier depths of the record shop. This was where practicality met aspiration, where everyday style was forged. Pushing through those doors, you were greeted by a different kind of sensory experience. The soft, incessant rustle of fabrics as people browsed through rails of clothing. A low murmur of conversations, parents discussing sizes and durability, children making whispered pleas for something brighter, bolder. And the smell, a clean, slightly synthetic aroma of new textiles subtly mixed with the faint scent of laundry detergent from freshly pressed garments, and perhaps a gentle hint of your mother's chosen perfume as she lingered by the women's wear. It was a smell that spoke of new beginnings, of uniforms, and of Sunday best. For many of us, C&A was synonymous with school uniform shopping. Do you recall the annual pilgrimage? The endless trying on of grey trousers or pleated skirts, the scratchiness of new wool, the slightly ill-fitting stiffness of a brand new blazer. It wasn't always the most exciting trip, yet there was a quiet satisfaction in leaving with a sturdy new outfit, ready for the academic year ahead. But then there were the moments of true excitement, finding that perfect pair of jeans, a trendy new jumper, or a stylish jacket that felt wonderfully grown up. These weren't just clothes, they were statements, little pieces of your evolving identity. The soft crinkle of the tissue paper as a prized item was carefully wrapped, the satisfying weight of the shopping bag in your hand. These were small victories. British Home Stores, or BHS as it was affectionately known, offered a slightly different, yet equally essential, facet of high street life. It was a treasure trove for the home, where comfort met elegance, and every item promised to bring a little more warmth and style into your living space. Remember wandering through the aisles of dinnerware, admiring the patterns, imagining them on your own family table. Or running your hand over soft furnishings, considering new cushions or a vibrant throw that would brighten up the living room. Shopping in BHS was often a family affair, a shared experience of selecting items that would collectively shape the domestic landscape. Perhaps your parents debated over the merits of a new set of curtains, or the children marveled at the novelty lamps and quirky decorative items. It wasn't just about utility, it was about creating a home, building a nest, reflecting the aspirations of a growing family. The quiet hum of conversation, the gentle clink of china as it was carefully handled, the faint whiff of polished wood from the furniture section, these were the subtle sensory cues of a shop dedicated to domestic bliss. These stores were the backbone of our everyday existence, clothing us from childhood to adulthood, and adorning our homes with everything from a new set of towels to elegant dining table. They were witnesses to countless personal moments. The excitement of a new outfit for a special occasion, the quiet contentment of choosing a gift for a loved one, the simple act of replacing a worn-out item. They offered reliability, familiarity, and a sense of shared experience, contributing to the comforting rhythm of British life. Today, walking past the locations where C&A's mannequins once stood proudly, or where BHS displayed its inviting homewares, you might encounter an empty shell, a fast fashion outlet, or perhaps a bland, anonymous chain store. The personal touch, the quiet dignity, and the sheer breadth of offerings that these establishments provided have largely faded. We've lost not just buildings, but the feeling of those specific shared experiences, the tangible link to our personal and collective histories. They clothed us, they furnished our lives, and in doing so, they became an indelible part of who we were. And as the silent mannequins of memory gaze out, the high street continues its poignant journey, leading us now towards the very heart of our daily sustenance. From the world of fashion and home, the high street's winding path would inevitably bring you to the places that nourish daily life. The local co-op or fine fair, perhaps a smaller, independent greengrocer tucked away on a side street. These weren't just shops, they were the very pulse of the community, where the mundane task of grocery shopping transformed into a comforting, social ritual. As you pushed through the usually unpretentious doors, you were immediately enveloped by a symphony of domestic sounds. The familiar squeak of trolley wheels on linoleum floors, a gentle murmur of conversation between neighbors catching up over the produce, the reassuring clatter of jars being placed into baskets. And the smells, oh, the rich, earthy aroma of fresh bread baking in the small in-store bakery, mingling with the clean, vibrant scent of ripe fruits and vegetables, and the comforting fragrance of freshly ground coffee. This wasn't a pristine, sterile environment, it was a living, breathing space, deeply connected to the rhythm of everyday life. Do you remember walking the aisles with your mum or gran, perhaps pushing a miniature trolley of your own, carefully selecting your favorite biscuits or helping to pick out the week's fruit? The gentle instructions to get a nice firm one when choosing an apple, the quiet satisfaction of finding the perfect bunch of bananas. There was a directness to it, a connection to the food that felt tangible. You'd see Mrs. Henderson from next door, exchanging pleasantries and local gossip. Mr. Davies, the butcher, would greet your mum by name, asking after the family, and perhaps recommending the best cut for Sunday roast. These weren't anonymous transactions, they were personal interactions, building blocks of community. The sound of the cash register wasn't an impersonal beep, but often the cheerful ringing of an old-fashioned till asterisk, followed by the friendly chat with the cashier, who knew your parents, knew your name, and often knew what you were likely to buy. Remember the satisfying weight of a full shopping bag in each hand, the crinkle of the paper or plastic as you walked home, a tangible testament to the week's provisions. It was a simple pleasure, an essential part of the weekly routine, yet imbued with a sense of connection and belonging. These stores were the heart of local life, points of informal gathering where news was exchanged, plans were made, and the fabric of the community was quietly woven. They provided not just food for our tables, but also a sense of stability, reliability, and human connection. They were a consistent presence, a place where familiar faces were guaranteed, making even the most ordinary errand feel like a small social event. The simplicity of choice, the familiarity of the layout, the personal greetings, all contributed to a feeling of comfort and home. Today, those local co-ops and fine fairs have largely given way to larger, more efficient, yet often less personal, supermarkets or convenience stores. The aisles might be wider, the selection might be vast, but the specific warmth, the personal greetings, the spontaneous chats with neighbors, these elements often feel diminished. We've gained speed and variety, but perhaps at the expense of that intimate, community-driven shopping experience. The local butcher, who knew just how you liked your cuts, is now a pre-packaged counter. The familiar face behind the till is often a self-checkout machine. We lost not just the shops themselves, but a piece of our local communities, a fragment of that shared routine that bound us together. These were places where you weren't just a customer, you were a neighbor, a familiar face, a part of the extended high street family. And as the ghostly scent of freshly baked bread and ripe fruit lingers in the air of memory, the high street makes its final, poignant turn, leading us to reflect on the entirety of what has truly been lost. We've walked these phantom high streets together, haven't we? From the vibrant chaos of Woolworths, with its sugary embrace and endless wonders, to the echoing halls of music shops where every new vinyl promised a revolution. We navigated the practical, yet profoundly personal, aisles of C&A and BHS, where the rustle of new clothes and the comforting hum of domestic aspiration filled the air. And we paused in the familiar, community-rich embrace of co-op and fine fare, where the smell of fresh bread and the chatter of neighbors created a comforting daily rhythm. Now, imagine standing on a high street today. Perhaps it's the very one you grew up with, or one just like it. Look around. The iconic red of Woolworths, a beacon of childhood dreams, is gone, replaced by a bland coffee chain or an anonymous phone store. The bold, expressive posters of bands that once adorned Virgin megastore windows have vanished, their space taken by a generic beauty outlet or simply an empty, forlorn shop front. The familiar, sturdy signage of C&A and BHS, once symbols of family and home, have given way to fast fashion behemoths or stood empty for years, their windows dusty and forgotten. And the local co-op, that hub of daily life and friendly faces, might now be a soulless supermarket, efficient but devoid of the warmth that once defined it. The sounds are different now, too. The cheerful clatter of multiple tills asterisk has been largely muted, replaced by the impersonal beep of a self-checkout scanner. The lively chatter of neighbors sharing local gossip is often drowned out by the piped-in pop music of international chains. The unique aroma of pick-in mix or the distinct scent of new vinyl have been eradicated, supplanted by the generic, sanitized air of modern retail. There's a quietness now, a subtle shift in the very fabric of the atmosphere. It's not a silence, but a less vibrant hum, a ghost of its former self. These were more than just 10 shops. These were landmarks, waypoints in the unfolding story of your life, and the lives of millions. Remember the thrill of that first pocket money purchase in Woolies? The nervous excitement of buying that defining album in our price? The resigned sigh, quickly followed by a spark of joy, of a new school uniform in C&A. The quiet comfort of weekly shopping in the co-op, where everyone knew your name. Each brick, each window, each worn step held countless memories, countless unspoken stories, countless fleeting moments that shaped who we became. They were the backdrop to our first crushes, our childhood arguments, our teenage aspirations, our parents' quiet struggles and triumphs. They were where we learned the value of a pound, the joy of discovery, the simple pleasure of human connection. The high street was a living, breathing organism, constantly changing, yet always familiar. It buzzed with life, it smelled of possibility, and it felt like home. Today, while convenience stores and online behemoths dominate, offering endless choices at the click of a button, something profoundly human has been lost. We've traded the tactile experience for digital ease, the shared community space for individual isolation. The act of shopping, once a social event, a ritual, has become largely a solitary, transactional necessity. We've lost the serendipity of stumbling upon something unexpected, the warmth of a familiar face, the sheer joy of simply being there. We didn't just lose 10 high street shops. We lost an entire world that we will never see again. A world where the Saturday trip to town was an adventure, a community event, a sensory feast. A world that lived and breathed alongside us, shaping our childhoods, our friendships, our very sense of belonging. All that remains now are these phantom storefronts, etched into the landscape of our collective memory, and a quiet yearning for what once was. If these memories, these feelings, resonate with you, if they bring a gentle smile or a wistful sigh to your lips, then you're part of this shared history. Don't let these echoes fade into the digital ether. Join our community, keep these stories alive, and share your own memories. Let's ensure this irreplaceable past continues to live, not just in our minds, but in our shared conversations. Because to remember is to keep a piece of that world, forever in our hearts.